crime scene this I woke up to a crime scene this morning. As you can see here, this is some pretty intense pollution. The question is, what kind of pollution is it exactly? Some people say that this is just water vapor, like when you see your breath on a cold winter day. That's funny, because I've never seen anyone's breath expand into a cloud that followed them down the street and around the corner so that it could linger there all day long. Oh no, ladies and gentlemen, these are not typical clouds. They're not contrails either. Some people suggest that these clouds are a type of synthetic cloud, with scientific literature referring to them as an SRM cloud, where SRM stands for Solar Radiation Management. There's actually a lot of material out there on this subject, including a U.S. patent titled Atmospheric Injection of Reflective Aerosols for Mitigating Global Warming. They're mixing in silicon and various other substances, such as reflective metals, into jet fuel, so that it will basically combust with jet fuel and come out of the exhaust to form a synthetic cloud. However, that may just be a cover story. These clouds may in fact have a dual purpose. Like your kitchen knife, you can use it for dinner or you can use it for self-defense. For example, these SRM clouds could be used for what's referred to as backscatter radar or over-the-horizon radar. That's where they beam radio waves off the upper atmosphere or off these synthetic clouds to scan areas of interest that are normally outside of the radar's range, like doing a bank shot on a pool table. While you would think modern satellite technology would be more logical, it stands to reason that these synthetic clouds are kept in place as a redundancy in case satellites were taken out by a first strike weapon. That can happen. Another purpose for these types of clouds may be to use them as a silver screen for Project Bluebeam operations. That seems almost unnecessary given the advances in 3D projection, but you never know. Other people have suggested that these clouds are part of a population reduction scheme, as fallout from these clouds have tested positive for toxic elements such as aluminum and barium. If you look up Agenda 21 and the Georgia Guidestones, well, it would seem like a possibility, wouldn't it? However, I believe the real reason for these synthetic clouds is much more complex. Now, if that wasn't the most wild clip you've seen today, then I would love to see your playlist. What makes sense to me here is that these clouds are being used to detect incoming craft somehow. These synthetic clouds contain fine metallic particles, so anything passing through them would leave a footprint. These people obviously use some sort of cloaking technology that allows them to blend in. And if they can cloak a person, it stands to reason that they can cloak a ship as well. By creating a thin layer of particles in the stratosphere, anything that passes through that layer would leave a trace detectable by radar. The backscatter signature would be different wherever there was vertical penetration, allowing over-the-horizon technology to pick it up. That technology is so accurate they can measure the height of an ocean wave by bank-shotting the radar beam off the ionosphere. They have that capability. And given what we know about the diversity of life in the universe, well, this only makes sense. As for who these people are in actuality, well, there's really not enough information out there to make an opinion. Given the vastness of the known universe, though, it's only logical that there would be a wide variety of races visiting our planet. Some insiders have suggested up to a dozen different races, maybe more, with some of them being good souls and with others being described as not so good. The Bible on this topic makes it clear that there is a kingdom of darkness and a kingdom of light, and in the final final days, our entire galaxy will be dragged into a massive war. That's the interpretation. So it is my belief that whoever these people are, they must fall under the same authority as the rest of us. Otherwise, it would have been like when Columbus discovered America. Further interpretation of the Bible suggests that as long as we can sustain ourselves, we will maintain dominion over this planet. That's the good news. What's concerning is that given that this is a Goldilocks planet, that makes it valuable on a galactic scale. Therefore, if we were to do ourselves in somehow, somebody else would take over. We could do ourselves in by war, by pollution, by asphyxiation, take your pick. But by looking at this map, it becomes clear that our planet is being terraformed by the technology that we're using. So the question that we should be asking ourselves here is, where did we really get our technology from? Some people say it was reverse engineered from the Roswell crash. Others say it was sold to us at a price. My conclusion is that in either case, we were allowed to have this technology with the premise that we would eventually wipe ourselves out with it. And by doing so, we would forfeit our claim to the planet. That would make sense, wouldn't it? And I also think that the global military complex understands this predicament and have taken steps to put in place an appropriate contingency. Namely, if we can't have the Earth, no one can.
Presently, there are over 129 deep underground military bases, or DUMBs, in the United States. These bases are basically large cities underground, connected by high-speed magneto-leviton trains that have speeds up to Mach 2.
These locations go all the way to Washington, D.C. There's access underneath the White House to this location. They can stay underground for quite some time. And this is stocked with food, water, everything they need. It's an underground city.
They've spent trillions and trillions building a network of secret cities underneath military bases connected by tunnels that go coast to coast. This fact has been well documented by the works of Phil Schneider and others, and there are dozens of videos online detailing these facilities. Now, what you may not know, however, is that this network is the shield of this "if we can't have it, no one can" plan, and the sword of this strategy is this. Each city has a roaming thermonuclear device hidden in it. A 100 megaton device locked and loaded, just waiting to go off. Most of them are hidden in plain sight, such as in a trailer or on a train. You could be driving right next to one and you wouldn't know the difference. Other devices are buried in the countryside, while others are placed in strategic locations. Given the unknowns in this equation, you can bet that there are redundant suitcases of the apocalypse in this system of "if we can't have it, no one can." And at the flip of a switch, the entire planet is set to light up like a Christmas tree. Now, even if you don't agree with every point I've made here in this presentation, I would ask you to share this information so that it can inspire others to think critically. The last thing we need right now is a bunch of zombies tranced out in front of a television. That just plays into the hands of the dark side. This is Ron Johnson from STFN, wishing you and yours the very best. Stranger Than Fiction News, because truth is stranger than fiction.